Morning sickness was a lying bitch, Phoebe decided as she knelt over her toilet for the third time that week. Morning implied it happened in the morning. This was 3 p.m., and she was supposed to meet Juno at the hotel site in an hour. Her phone buzzed. A text from the man himself. Running late. Can we push to 5? Also, are you okay? Miho mentioned you've been unwell. Phoebe rolled her eyes. Of course Miho was reporting her condition to his brother. Overprotective didn't even begin to cover it. In the week since the pregnancy news broke, he'd been insufferable. Texting constantly, trying to send his driver to pick her up, offering to hire a personal chef, a nutritionist, a full-time assistant. She declined everything. She didn't need his help, didn't want to owe him anything. But the nausea was getting harder to hide. I'm fine, she texted back to Juno. 5 works. See you then. She showered, reapplied her makeup with extra care to hide the exhaustion, and chose a flowing dress that skimmed over her still flat stomach. In a few weeks, she'd start showing. She needed to figure out maternity wear for herself before then. Something fashionable, something that made her feel powerful rather than just pregnant. Another business opportunity, her designer brain noted. Luxury maternity wear for professional women. She filed the idea away for later. The hotel site was transformed from her last visit. The lobby was nearly complete now, marble floors gleaming. The massive chandelier she'd helped select hanging from the ceiling like a crystallized waterfall. Her uniforms were being manufactured, samples already approved. Everything was coming together beautifully. Juno was waiting in what would become the executive offices, reviewing blueprints with the project manager. He looked up when she entered, and his eyes did a quick scan of her. Checking if she was okay, she realized. You look beautiful, he said simply. The compliment caught her off guard. Juno wasn't like Miho, who threw compliments around like confetti. When Juno said something, he meant it. Thank you, she said, setting down her portfolio. Ready to review the final designs? They spent the next hour going over details, fabric choices, color variations for different departments, the way the uniforms would photograph for marketing materials. Phoebe had poured herself into this project, and it showed. Every piece was perfection. Incredible, Juno murmured, examining a sample jacket. You've exceeded every expectation. That's what you're paying me for. No, he looked up at her. I'm paying you for good work. This is exceptional. There's a difference. Something warm unfurled in Phoebe's chest at the praise. She'd built her business on being exceptional, but it was nice to have someone recognize it. Someone who wasn't trying to use it to get into her bed or win a bet. How are you feeling? Juno asked, his tone shifting to something more personal. Really? Tired, nauseous, emotional. Phoebe sat down, suddenly exhausted. I cried yesterday because my silk supplier was late with a delivery. Cried. Over fabric. Juno's lips twitched. Hormones are powerful things. Are you mansplaining pregnancy to me right now? Wouldn't dream of it. He poured her a glass of water from the pitcher on the table, added a slice of lemon without asking, somehow knowing she'd been craving citrus lately. I'm just saying what you're going through is difficult. You're allowed to have feelings about it. Phoebe accepted the water gratefully. Your brother keeps trying to help. Miho's trying to make up for being an ass. Let him. You don't have to forgive him, but let him be useful at least. Is that what you'd do? If you were me? Juno was quiet for a moment, studying her face. If I were you, I'd do exactly what you're doing. Stay strong, stay independent, don't let anyone dictate your choices. But I'd also remember that accepting help isn't weakness. It's strategy. Strategy. You're building an empire while growing a human. That's a lot. If Miho wants to make your life easier, let him. You can stay angry at him and still use his resources. Phoebe laughed despite herself. That's delightfully ruthless. I learned from the best. Juno's expression turned serious. My mother built her own fashion company before she married my father. She taught me that in business and in life you use every advantage you have. Pride is expensive. Sometimes you can't afford it. Smart woman. She was. Something sad flickered across Juno's face. She passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. Phoebe reached out instinctively, her hand covering his. That must have been devastating. It was. Still is some days. He looked down at their hands, but didn't pull away. She would have liked you, I think. Would have appreciated your talent, your strength. Your refusal to be intimidated by my family. Is that what I'm doing? Not being intimidated. You're doing better than that. You're making us work for your respect. Juno turned his hand over, palm against hers. It's refreshing. Most people just see our money and influence and bend. I've never been good at bending. No, Juno said softly, his thumb brushing against her wrist. You're better at making other people bend to you. The air between them shifted, charged with something dangerous. Phoebe was suddenly very aware of how close they were sitting, how his dark eyes had gone intense, how her heart was beating faster. This was wrong. She was pregnant with his brother's baby. She was vulnerable, emotional, not thinking clearly. This was the absolute worst time to be feeling whatever she was feeling. But then Juno leaned in, just slightly, and Phoebe found she couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think of anything except Hyung. They jumped apart as Miho burst through the door, and Phoebe wanted to strangle him for his timing, even as she was grateful for the interruption. I texted you, Miho said to Juno, not seeming to notice anything amiss. Then his eyes landed on Phoebe and his whole face lit up. You're here. Good. I brought you something. He held up a bag from one of Seoul's most expensive restaurants. Samjitang, the ginseng chicken soup. It's supposed to be good for pregnant women. Lots of nutrients, helps with nausea. Miho, Phoebe interrupted. I'm in a meeting, right? Sorry. But he didn't leave, just stood there holding the soup like an eager puppy who'd brought home a dead bird. I can wait, drive you home after. She has her own car, Juno said, his voice carefully neutral. But she shouldn't be driving if she's nauseous. I'm fine, Phoebe said firmly, standing up. Both brothers immediately moved to help her, which would have been comical if it wasn't so annoying. I'm not an invalid. I'm just pregnant. I know, but... Miho started. No buts. She gathered her portfolio, very deliberately not looking at Juno because she didn't trust what her face might reveal. Thank you for the soup. I'll eat it at home. Alone. She swept out, leaving both Kong brothers staring after her. In the parking lot, she sat in her car for a moment, hands shaking slightly. What the hell had almost happened in there? Had Juno been about to kiss her? Had she been about to let him? This was insane. She was pregnant with Miho's baby. Getting involved with Juno, even thinking about getting involved with Juno, was complicated on levels she couldn't even begin to process. But God help her, she wanted to. Her phone buzzed. Juno, I apologize if I made you uncomfortable. That was inappropriate. Phoebe stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. You didn't make me uncomfortable, She deleted it without sending. Some things were better left unsaid. A week later, Phoebe found herself at her first prenatal appointment. She debated whether to tell Miho about it, and had ultimately decided that co-parenting meant keeping him informed. Besides, she wasn't cruel. He deserved to see his baby, even if she hadn't fully forgiven him. He was waiting in the clinic lobby when she arrived, looking nervous in a black turtleneck and slacks. He jumped up when he saw her. You came, she said, surprised despite herself. Of course I came. Did you think I wouldn't? I wasn't sure. Something hurt flashed across his face, but he just nodded. I'm here. For all of it. Every appointment, every milestone. If you'll let me. The ultrasound technician was a cheerful woman in her 50s who didn't bat an eye at the obvious tension between them. She squirted cold gel on Phoebe's stomach, still flat, but apparently there was a baby in there somewhere, and moved the transducer around. There we go, she said, and suddenly the room was filled with sound. Fast, rhythmic thumping like a tiny drum. That's the heartbeat, the technician explained unnecessarily because Phoebe was already crying, and Miho had grabbed her hand without thinking, and they were both staring at the grainy image on the screen that somehow looked like a baby. Their baby. Everything looks good, the technician continued, pointing out features Phoebe couldn't really distinguish but pretended to. Nice strong heartbeat. You're measuring right on track for about 9 weeks. Due date looks like July 15th. July. Phoebe would be a mother in July. The thought was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. "Can we get pictures?" Miho asked, his voice rough with emotion. Of course. They left the clinic in silence, both clutching printouts of their baby. In the parking lot, Miho turned to her. "Thank you," he said, "for letting me be there." For his voice broke. "That's our baby, Phoebe. We made that. I know. I'm going to be a good father. I swear to you, whatever I did wrong with us, I'm going to get this right." Phoebe wanted to believe him. God, how she wanted to believe him. But trust, once broken, wasn't easily repaired. "Time will tell," she said instead. "Can I take you to lunch? Celebrate." She should say no. Should maintain boundaries. Keep things professional and distant. But she was hungry, and he was looking at her with such hope, and they'd just seen their baby's heartbeat together. "Lunch," she agreed. "But we're splitting the bill." "Phoebe. Non-negotiable." He smiled, that devastating smile that had first caught her attention. "Still so stubborn." "You say stubborn, I say principled." They ended up at a quiet restaurant in Gangnam, tucked into a private booth. Miho ordered half the menu, claiming she needed to eat for two, and Phoebe didn't have the energy to argue. "I've been thinking," Miho said as they waited for food, "about names. It's too early for names. Just thinking, if it's a boy, maybe something that honors both our cultures? Korean first name, Ghanaian middle name." Phoebe felt something soften in her chest. "You've been researching Ghanaian names?" "Of course. I want our baby to know both sides of their heritage." He pulled out his phone, showing her a list he'd been compiling. "I like Kofi if it's a boy born on Friday, or Kwame for Saturday." "Those are Akan names," Phoebe said, surprised he'd gotten it right. "My family is Akan." "I know. I remembered you talking about your grandmother." He looked almost shy. "I listened, Phoebe. I always listened. I just didn't always show it the right way." The food arrived before she could respond, and they ate in comfortable silence. It was strange, Phoebe thought. This felt like their early dates before everything went wrong. Easy, natural, like they could actually be friends if nothing else. "Can I ask you something?" Miho said suddenly. "And will you promise to be honest?" "I'm always honest." "Is there something between you and Juno?" Phoebe nearly choked on her water. "What?" "I saw the way he looked at you. The way you looked at him." Miho's jaw tightened. "And I know my brother. He's wanted what I had since we were kids, including women." "There's nothing between us," Phoebe said firmly, even as her mind flashed back to that almost kiss. "We're colleagues. That's all." "But you like him." "Miho, I'm not stupid, Phoebe, and I'm not mad." "Well, I am, but..." He ran a hand through his hair. "I just need to know. If there's something there, I need to know." Phoebe set down her chopsticks, looking him directly in the eye. "Even if I did like him, which I'm not saying I do, it wouldn't matter. I'm pregnant with your baby. I'm not looking for a relationship with anyone. Not you, not him, not anyone. But after the baby comes, if I prove I've changed, I can't answer that. I don't know what I'll feel 6 months from now, a year from now. Right now, I'm focused on staying healthy and building my business and preparing to be a mother. Everything else is secondary." Miho nodded slowly. "Fair enough. But Phoebe, I meant what I said. I'm going to prove I've changed. That I can be the man you deserve. However long it takes." After lunch, Miho walked her to her car. Before she could get in, he pulled out a small box from his pocket. "It's not what you think," he said quickly, seeing her expression. "Not an engagement ring. Just open it." Inside was a delicate necklace, a tiny diamond pendant in the shape of a heart. Simple, elegant, not over the top. "For the baby," he explained, "to keep close to your heart until they're in your arms." Damn him. Damn him for knowing exactly what would make her cry. "Thank you," she whispered. "Can I?" He gestured to the necklace, and she nodded. He fastened it around her neck, his fingers gentle against her skin. And for just a moment, Phoebe let herself remember what it was like to be held by him, to feel safe in his arms. Then she pulled away, got in her car, and drove home before she could do something stupid like forgive him. That evening, Phoebe was working in her studio when her doorbell rang. She almost didn't answer. She was exhausted, emotional, craving nothing but her bed. But the bell rang again, persistent. Through the peephole, she saw Juno. Her heart did a stupid little flip. She opened the door. "It's late," she said, but she stepped aside to let him in. "I know. I apologize." Juno held up a bag. "I brought ginger tea. Miho mentioned it helps with your nausea." Of course, Miho had mentioned it. The man was basically running a Phoebe information network at this point. "Thank you," she said, taking the bag. "But you could have just sent it with a driver. You didn't need to come personally." "I wanted to." Juno shoved his hands in his pockets, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. "I wanted to apologize. For last week. For almost kissing me?" "Yes." He met her eyes. "It was inappropriate. You're pregnant with my brother's baby. You're vulnerable, and I took advantage." "You didn't take advantage of anything," Phoebe interrupted. "I'm not some helpless victim, Juno. If I hadn't wanted you to kiss me, I would have stopped you." The words hung in the air between them. Juno's eyes darkened. "So you wanted me to kiss you?" "I didn't say that. You just did." Phoebe cursed internally. Pregnancy brain was making her stupid, careless with her words. "What I meant was that you're attracted to me." Juno stepped closer. "That whatever this is between us, it's not one-sided. It doesn't matter what I feel," Phoebe said, even as her body betrayed her, swaying toward him. "This is complicated enough without adding more complications. Complicated can be good. Complicated can be a disaster. Only if we let it be." Juno reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so tender it made her ache. "I'm not my brother, Phoebe. I don't play games. If I want someone, I'm honest about it. And you want me so much it's driving me insane." His thumb brushed her cheek. "But I'm not going to push. You're dealing with enough. I just needed you to know. That's all." He turned to leave, and Phoebe should have let him go. Should have kept her mouth shut and her boundaries intact. Instead, she heard herself say, "Stay." Juno froze. "Phoebe, just for tea." "I don't." She took a breath. "I don't want to be alone tonight." She saw him war with himself, saw the moment he decided. "Okay, for tea." They sat in her living room, the Seoul skyline glittering beyond her windows, drinking ginger tea and talking about everything except the tension humming between them. Juno told her about his mother, about learning business at her knee while Miho was out partying. She told him about Ghana, about the grandmother who'd taught her to sew, about the leap of faith it took to start her business in a foreign country. "You're brave," Juno said softly. "Braver than anyone I know." "I'm practical," Phoebe corrected. "Bravery is just practicality dressed up in better clothes." He laughed at that, and the sound did dangerous things to her heart. When he finally left, well past midnight, Phoebe stood at her door watching him walk to the elevator. At the last second, he turned back. "I meant what I said," he called softly. "I'm not going anywhere. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here." The elevator doors closed on his words, and Phoebe was left alone with her racing heart and the undeniable truth. She'd been avoiding. She was falling for Juno Kong, and she had absolutely no idea what to do about it. 3 weeks passed in a blur of morning sickness, design meetings, and increasingly complicated feelings. Phoebe was now 12 weeks pregnant, finally past the dangerous first trimester. Her doctor had cleared her to announce publicly if she wanted, though the news was already out thanks to dispatch's interference. She was also starting to show, just barely, a slight curve to her belly that most people wouldn't notice but that she couldn't stop touching. Her baby, real and growing inside her. Miho had been persistent, showing up with food, sending gifts for the baby, attending every appointment. He was trying so hard to prove he'd changed that it was almost exhausting to witness. But Phoebe kept her walls up, kept things cordial but distant. Juno was different. He didn't push, didn't demand her time or attention. But he was always there. A text checking in, a perfectly timed coffee delivery when she was drowning in work, a thoughtful comment about her designs that showed he actually paid attention. He was becoming essential to her days in a way that terrified her. The hotel was nearly complete now, set to open in 6 weeks. Phoebe's uniforms had been delivered, and they were perfect, elegant, functional, making every staff member look like they belonged in a 5-star establishment. The interior design elements she'd consulted on had come together beautifully. This was going to be her masterpiece, the project that cemented her reputation in Seoul's luxury market. Tonight was the soft opening, a private event for investors, press, and VIPs. Phoebe had been invited as both designer and guest of honor. She'd spent hours choosing her outfit. A custom silk gown in deep sapphire that skimmed over her small bump, with strategic draping that made her look ethereal rather than pregnant. Her hair was long and sleek, her makeup dramatic. She looked powerful, successful, untouchable. The hotel was breathtaking at night. Every light, every surface, every carefully chosen detail combined to create an atmosphere of sophisticated luxury. Phoebe walked through the lobby, her heels clicking on marble she'd helped select, and felt a surge of pride. This was hers. She'd created this. "You look stunning." She turned to find Juno in a tailored tuxedo that probably cost more than her first car. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine, all sharp lines and elegant masculinity. "You clean up nicely yourself," she said, accepting the champagne flute he offered before remembering, "Oh, I can't. It's sparkling cider." His smile was soft. "Did you really think I'd forget?" Something warm bloomed in Phoebe's chest. Such a small thing, but it meant he was thinking about her, about the baby, even in the midst of his big night. "Thank you," she murmured. "Come on." He offered his arm. "I want to show you off. Let everyone see the genius behind the design." They circulated through the party, Juno introducing her to investors and press. Everyone had compliments for her work, and Phoebe found herself relaxing into the evening, enjoying the recognition she'd earned, until she saw Miho across the room. He was talking to a group of investors, all charm and perfect smiles. But his eyes kept finding her, watching her laugh at something Juno said, watching Juno's hands settle on the small of her back as he guided her through the crowd, watching them together. "Excuse me," Juno murmured to the journalist they'd been talking to. "I need to handle something." He guided Phoebe to a quiet corner. "My brother looks like he wants to murder me." "He's being ridiculous." "Is he?" Juno's dark eyes were intense. "We've been attached at the hip all night. Anyone watching would think." "Would think what?" Phoebe challenged. "That we're colleagues celebrating a successful project? Is that all we are?" The question hung between them, loaded with everything they hadn't said, everything they'd been dancing around for weeks. "Juno, dance with me." "What? Dance with me?" He held out his hand. "Just once. Then I'll leave you alone, I promise." She should say no, should maintain her boundaries, keep things professional. But the ballroom had filled with couples swaying to the live band, and she was tired of fighting what she felt. "One dance," she agreed. Juno led her onto the floor, one hand settling on her waist, the other holding hers gently. They moved together easily, naturally, like they'd been dancing together for years. "I need to tell you something again," Juno said quietly, "and I need you to just listen, okay? Don't interrupt, don't argue. Just listen." Phoebe nodded, her heart pounding. "I'm in love with you." The words were simple, direct. "I've been in love with you since that first family dinner when you argued politics with my father and didn't back down even when he got angry. I watched my brother date you and I wanted to hate you for choosing him, but I couldn't. Because every time I saw you, every time we talked, I just fell deeper." "Juno, you said you'd listen." His hand tightened on her waist. "I know the timing is terrible. I know you're pregnant with Miho's baby. I know you have every reason not to trust anyone in my family. But I'm not him, Phoebe. I would never make a bet about you. I would never treat you like anything less than the extraordinary woman you are." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want you. All of you. The brilliant designer, the fierce businesswoman, the mother-to-be. I want to be there for you, to support you, to watch you build your empire." He pulled back slightly to meet her eyes. "I want to be yours. Completely." Phoebe's breath caught. This was insane. This was the worst possible timing. This This was exactly what she wanted. "I'm pregnant with your brother's baby," she whispered. "I know. People will talk. They'll say horrible things. Let them. Your family will never accept this. I don't care." Juno's voice was fierce. "I've spent my whole life doing what my family expected. Being the responsible one, the dutiful son. For once, I want to be selfish. I want to choose what I want. And I want you." The song ended. Around them, couples were separating, applauding the band. But Phoebe and Juno stood frozen, staring at each other. The world narrowed down to just them. "I need air," Phoebe said suddenly. She fled the ballroom, Juno following close behind. They ended up on a private terrace overlooking the city, the sounds of the party muffled behind glass doors. "I'm sorry," Juno said immediately. "That was too much too fast." Phoebe kissed him. She didn't plan it, didn't think about it. One moment she was panicking, and the next she was pressing her lips to his, swallowing his surprised gasp. For a heartbeat, Juno froze. Then his arms came around her, pulling her close. Careful of her belly, so careful, and he kissed her back like she was oxygen and he was drowning. It was nothing like kissing Miho. Miho had been fire and flash, all-consuming and dangerous. This was deeper, steadier, like coming home after a long journey, like finding something you didn't know you were missing. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Juno pressed his forehead to hers. "Tell me this is real," he whispered. "Tell me I'm not imagining this. It's real." Phoebe's hands fisted in his jacket. "God help me, it's real. But Juno, I can't. I'm not ready for." "I know. I'm not asking for anything you can't give. I'm just asking for a chance. To prove that this," he gestured between them, "is worth the complications. It's going to be a disaster. Maybe. Or maybe it'll be the best thing that ever happened to either of us." Phoebe laughed shakily. "You're insane." "Probably. Is that a yes?" Was it? Could she really do this? Start something with Juno while pregnant with Miho's baby? The logistics alone were nightmarish. But standing here in his arms, feeling more grounded than she had in months, she couldn't bring herself to care about the logistics. "It's a maybe," she said. "A very cautious, very uncertain maybe. I'll take it." Juno kissed her again, soft and sweet. "I'll take whatever you can give me." They stayed on the terrace for another few minutes, just holding each other, before reality intruded in the form of raised voices from inside. Through the glass, they could see Miho arguing with someone. No, with their father. The elder Kong was gesturing angrily, his face red, clearly furious about something. "Shit," Juno muttered. "He knows. Someone must have seen us." "Seen us what? Dancing? Talking? Kissing?" Juno pulled out his phone, which was blowing up with notifications. "It's already online. Someone took photos." He showed her. There they were on the terrace, wrapped in each other's arms, kissing like the world was ending. The headline made Phoebe's blood run cold. Kong brothers love triangle. Pregnant designer moves from one brother to the next. "I need to leave," Phoebe said immediately. "Before this gets worse. I'll take you." "No. That'll just fuel the story." She was already moving toward the service elevator, the one the staff used. "I'll call a cab. Go out the back." "Phoebe, wait." But she was gone, practically running, her heels clicking rapidly on the marble floors. She couldn't face Miho right now, couldn't handle his father's anger or the press's questions or any of it. In the cab, her phone exploded with notifications. Texts from Amma, from clients, from people she barely knew, all wanting to know what was going on. The photos were everywhere. Her and Juno dancing, talking on the terrace, kissing. One text stood out. "From Miho, we need to talk. Now." She ignored it, ignored all of them. When she got home, she locked her door, turned off her phone, and let herself finally break down. What had she done? What had she been thinking? She wasn't thinking, that was the problem. She'd let her feelings override her common sense. And now everything was a mess. Her hand went to her belly, to the small curve where her baby was growing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry you're being born into this chaos." But even as she cried, even as she panicked about what tomorrow would bring, she couldn't bring herself to regret kissing Juno. Couldn't regret the way he'd made her feel, wanted and valued and seen. She fell asleep on her couch, exhausted and emotional, and dreamed of dark eyes and gentle hands and a future that seemed both terrifying and impossibly perfect. Morning came too soon. Phoebe woke to someone pounding on her door, her neck stiff from sleeping on the couch. She checked her phone. 43 missed calls, 216 text messages, and 14 voicemails. The pounding continued. "Phoebe," Miho's voice. "Open the door. I know you're in there." She considered pretending she wasn't home. But knowing Miho, he'd probably camp out in her hallway until she emerged. She opened the door. Miho looked terrible. Eyes red-rimmed, hair disheveled, still in his tuxedo from last night. "You and my brother," he said without preamble. "Tell me it's not true. Miho, tell me those photos are fake, that it was just a moment, that you're not actually—" His voice cracked. "That you're not falling in love with him while carrying my baby. I'm not having this conversation with you. We're having it." Miho pushed past her into the apartment. "Because in case you've forgotten, that's my child you're pregnant with. And now you're what? Moving on to my brother? Making our baby part of some twisted family drama? Don't you dare," Phoebe said, her voice dangerously quiet. "Don't you dare lecture me about family drama when you're the one who started all of this. You made me a bet. You used me. And now you're mad because I'm finding happiness with someone who actually respects me. I love you. You love the idea of me." Phoebe was shouting now, weeks of suppressed anger finally exploding. "You loved having me on your arm, loved that I was different and exotic and made you look worldly, but you never actually knew me. Not really. And Juno does?" Miho's laugh was bitter. "You think my brother is different? He's just better at hiding his manipulations. This is what he does, Phoebe. He takes what's mine. He always has. I'm not yours. I never was. I was your bet, remember?" The words hit like a physical blow. Miho actually stumbled back, his face going pale. "I've apologized for that," he said quietly. 1,000 times. "And I've accepted your apologies. But accepting them doesn't mean forgetting what you did. It doesn't mean I owe you anything beyond co-parenting our child. So that's it? You're choosing him. I'm choosing me." Phoebe straightened her spine. "I'm choosing to focus on my baby and my business and my life. If Juno wants to be part of that, if he can prove he's worth the complications, then maybe, I'll let him in. But that's my choice. Mine, not yours." Miho stared at her for a long moment, something like resignation settling over his features. "I'm not giving up," he finally said. "On you, on us. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm going to keep trying anyway." "That's your choice," Phoebe said. "But don't expect me to wait while you figure out how to be the man you should have been from the beginning." After he left, Phoebe made herself tea and sat at her window, watching the city wake up below. Her phone rang, Juno this time. "Are you okay?" he asked immediately. "I saw Miho leaving your building." "Did he?" "I'm fine. We talked. It was difficult, but necessary. I'm coming over." "Juno, not to push anything, just to make sure you're really okay. Please?" Phoebe. She should say no. Should keep him at arm's length until she figured out what she really wanted. But the truth was, she knew what she wanted. She'd known since last night on that terrace. "Okay," she said quietly. "Come over." He arrived 30 minutes later with pastries from her favorite bakery and that ginger tea he always brought. They sat on her couch, not touching, just existing in each other's space. "I talked to my father," Juno said finally. "He's not happy. He thinks I'm betraying Miho, that this makes the family look bad." "And what did you say?" "I told him I don't care." Juno looked at her, his dark eyes steady. "I told him that for once in my life, I'm choosing what I want over what the family wants. And I want you." Phoebe felt tears prickling at her eyes. Damn pregnancy hormones. "This is going to be so complicated. I know. People are going to say terrible things about me, about us. Let them. Your relationship with Miho might never recover. That's between me and him." Juno reached over, taking her hand carefully. "Phoebe, I'm not going into this blind. I know exactly what we're facing, and I'm telling you it's worth it. You're worth it. How can you be so sure? Because I've spent my whole life playing it safe, doing the right thing, being the responsible one. And where has it gotten me? Alone in a big house, working for a family business I don't even like, watching other people be happy. He squeezed her hand. You make me want to be brave, to take risks, to actually live instead of just existing. Phoebe studied his face, looking for any hint of deception, any sign that this was another game. But all she saw was sincerity and hope and something that looked a lot like love. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too. I'm pregnant with your brother's baby. I know, and I don't care. I'll love that baby because it's yours. I have morning sickness and mood swings and I cry at commercials. I'll hold your hair and bring you ginger tea and cry with you, despite everything. Phoebe laughed. You're ridiculous. Is that a yes? She thought about it. Really thought about it. She could play it safe, keep Juno at a distance, raise her baby alone and focus solely on her business. It would be easier, certainly less complicated. Or she could be brave, could take the risk, could let herself fall for this man who looked at her like she hung the moon. It's a yes, she said finally. But slowly. We take this slowly. As slow as you need. And if it doesn't work, it will work. Juno pulled her closer, careful of her belly. I'll make sure it works. He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. And for the first time since seeing those positive pregnancy tests, Phoebe felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Even if it was complicated. Even if people talked. Even if the whole world thought she was crazy. She was choosing happiness. Finally, bravely choosing happiness. And damn anyone who tried to take it away. That night, after Juno had left, Phoebe stood in front of her mirror, hand on her small baby bump. The necklace Miho had given her still hung around her neck, the diamond heart for the baby. She should take it off, should distance herself completely from him. But somehow, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Because whatever happened between her and Miho, whatever complicated mess they'd created, this baby was innocent. This baby deserved to have both parents who loved them. And maybe she could have that. Could co-parent with Miho while building something new with Juno. It would be complicated, messy, probably terrible at times. But as she looked at her reflection, at the successful businesswoman, the mother-to-be, the woman who'd survived betrayal and come out stronger, she thought maybe she could handle complicated. She'd come to Korea alone, built a business from nothing, survived a scandal that would have destroyed most people. She could handle this too. We're going to be okay, she whispered to her belly. All of us. Somehow we're going to be okay. And for the first time, she actually believed it.
Hello besties, are you Team Minho or Junho? Stay tuned for episode 4. Kindly like, subscribe and share.